Okay, our next speaker is going to be Miss Catherine Orsburn. I've been trying to call her Osborne for a week now, but her name is Orsburn. She's from Minnesota and she transplanted to Arkansas 17 years ago. She used to be a teacher at Fayetteville Christian School for 15 years, and now she's a homeschool mom and a business owner. So I would like you to help me welcome Miss Catherine Orsburn.
Thank you, Lori. I would like to introduce also, somewhere in the crowd, my husband Troy. We have 4 children at home, our teenage daughters Taylor and Christy, and 2 adopted 2-year-olds from Vietnam, Sarah and Emily. I also have 2 married daughters, Jennifer with my 3 grandchildren, and April. We've lived in Washington County now for 17 years and are the owners and operators of AirTech Heating and Air Conditioning. We've been doing business in this area for 9 years now. It's not always been easy keeping the business prosperous with the tax burden that is upon small businesses. But we've been able to be fairly prosperous and charge our customers a fair rate. However, with the new tax burdens expected with the current out-of-control government spending, I'm wondering how long we will be able to continue to provide our service without charging an outrageous fee. Now, if our business were to fail because of our own poor management or because we provide an inferior service, I would have nothing to say. The heart of capitalism is to work hard and to succeed or fail and to reap the rewards accordingly. But when government is spending millions to bear all the failures and to crush us successful businesses with taxes, then we have a problem. Let's allow the failures to fail, and the successes will rise to the top. This will create new jobs and supercharge our economy. When asked to speak at this event, I saw an opportunity to express my personal thoughts and convictions concerning the state of our nation. I've often been frustrated when people with high visibility in their platforms or for their influence fail to use those opportunities to tell the truth, expose the lies, give the solutions, and seek the support of the people. When we were in Vietnam to adopt our babies for nearly a month, we saw the results of communism and socialism and the darkness and oppression that they cause. It is a poverty-stricken people with little hope. It's filthy, and the water is green. Their health care is often outside and barely protected from the elements and the bacteria. And you had better have someone to look out for you and to provide food and clothing and nursing, or you will die. But it's free. The government has allowed the people a tiny window of freedom to set up very limited businesses on the sidewalks to help sustain their families. This has given the people some hope, and they work very hard for practically nothing. The people were kind to us, and many expressed their pleasure at seeing 2 of their babies on their way to America for a better life. Many said that they wished that they could come also. The United States is the envy of the world, and that's why so many would risk all that they have in their very lives to get here. I wish that everyone, and especially those that embrace these failed systems of government, could spend some time in such a country. They could witness the very great wealth of the few in government and power and the extreme poverty of the masses. We do not, as a country, need to bow down to the Ho Chi Minhs and the Castros of this world who manage and control their people by oppression and persecution. Countries where the lies of socialism are being pumped through the sound systems as you eat your breakfast or the speakers as you walk through their streets. Hearing that put me in mind of the liberal media here in the States. I sometimes hear their lies while I'm shopping, baking, or eating at a restaurant where I cannot turn it off. There are messages coming out of Hollywood and it's in our public schools and universities. We don't want our people and our children to be indoctrinated into socialism or worse. We are not a socialist nation and do not require socialized medicine. Let us learn from our neighbors in Canada and others that have embraced forms of socialism, Marxism, and all the other isms. In an article by Pierre Lebec, he informs us concerning Canada that there is no such thing as free health care. What the consumer doesn't pay, the taxpayer does, and with a vengeance. Public health expenditures in Quebec amount to 29% of the provincial government budget. 1/5 of the revenues come from a wage tax of 3.22% charged to employers, and the rest comes from the general taxes. It costs $1,200 per year in taxes for each Quebec citizen to have access to their public health system. This means that the average two-child family pays close to $5,000 per year in public health insurance. For many Canadians, hospital emergency rooms have become their primary doctor. Patients lie in temporary beds in emergency rooms, sometimes for days. At a major Montreal pediatric hospital, children often wait for many hours before they can see a doctor. Surgery candidates face long waiting lists. Heart surgeons report that patients are dying on their waiting lists. But then, it's free. The article further states that many of their good doctors and nurses are now here in the United States. Perhaps you think, well, I'll just buy my own health insurance. Well, in Canada, that is against the law. I personally have a friend in Cuba that waited a very long time to get his eyes examined for eyeglass prescription. Then he waited many months to receive his glasses. But by the time he got in, his prescription had expired, and he was back to square one. I also want to express my extreme gratitude to our soldiers that are engaged in a war to preserve our freedoms. These soldiers keep the front lines of the war in the countries that have provoked the war by attacking the United States and other countries that have desired peace. Peace is long preserved when those that desire it are diligent to preserve it. We are foolish if we do not realize that freedom is not free and never has been. I received an email from my state representative, Mark Martin, giving an example of the need for us to fully engage in the war against our liberties here at home. I had contacted him about a certain House bill that I wanted him to oppose. This is his response. Of 35 emails that he had received so far on this bill, only 24 could be found in registered voter rolls. Only 20 of those have more than one registered voter at that address. Only 17 bothered to vote in the past presidential election, and only 5 have voted in all the last 4 general elections. If this doesn't demonstrate apathy, I don't know what would qualify. If I looked this information up, you can bet that other legislatures have too. And this is what they know. We will make a lot of noise, but we will go away and not impact their future elections much. Unquote. We need to consider where each of us falls in this process, because there's a 2% minority of our population making a large noise from their platforms of influence. They're using their times, talents, and money, and they're moving their agenda right along. They are, of course, free to do that within the confines of the law, but they are not free to cram it down the throats of those that don't agree with them. They are not free to shut down the voices of those of us that have a different viewpoint, or to flagrantly flaunt the decency laws of our country. Now, it's great to see so many of us turned out for this Tea Party to express support for our freedoms. But how many of us will follow through? Will we make phone calls? Do we help others to be informed of the truth? Because they're not getting it from the liberal media, from public education, or our universities. We are making sure that our own children, understand the importance and price of freedom? Do we show them where to find the truth for themselves? Do we take them with us when we vote? Do they know who the candidates are, what the issues are, and where the candidates stand, and where we stand, and why? A friend of mine put it this way. True, it is inconvenient, but most things of importance are. True, most people have plans, but plans can be modified. True, it may be during dinner, like this Tea Party event, but if we think it's important enough, we will find a way to get there. And if we and the kids have to grab some crackers and water for dinner, that's okay. Because if we don't make an effort to be heard now, if we don't deal with the inconvenience now, we may be living a life full of inconvenience later, and the crackers and waters may be what your grandchildren eat for dinner on a regular basis. I don't think that her statement is an exaggeration. We need organization. We need to get on the school board, city councils, make phone calls, help the elections, and vote. My representative's remarks concerning the lack of follow-through, and especially in the voting booths, were appalling. There are places to plug in locally and people we can call to get that information. We need to bring our kids with us. The enemy knows how important our children are to the future of this nation, and they're doing all they can to bring them into their camps.